I am thinking about leaving my husband for good before change of a mistake we made. I'm about to go to a lawyer to see what my separation options are from my husband. Am I in the right? This is going to be a long one, so strap in, and thank you to anyone who makes it through to the end and can offer some advice. I am 33-year-old and my husband is 35-year-old, and I have been together for 11 years and married for 5. We don't have children yet, but we were planning to start trying in September or October of this year. This has been a significant point of focus for us as we envisioned expanding our family and entering the next chapter of our lives. For a long time, this plan brought me a lot of excitement and hope, but lately I've been questioning whether it's something we can, or should, move forward with. For context, I have struggled with depression and anxiety for much of my adult life. Managing my mental health has been an ongoing journey, and it's something I've worked very hard on with the support of my doctors. In preparation for starting a family, I made the decision to wean off most of my medications under medical supervision. This wasn't an easy choice, as these medications were crucial in helping me maintain stability and navigate life more effectively. However, I wanted to give myself and our future child the best possible chance at a healthy pregnancy and birth, so I began the process in April. Since then, I've gone from taking 7 pills daily including birth control to now taking only 2. By next month I'll be down to just 1. This has been a gradual and deliberate process, but it hasn't been without its challenges. I've experienced some intense side effects as my body and mind adjusted to the lower doses, and it's been a real struggle at times. Through it all, I've tried to stay focused on the bigger picture, starting a family with the man I love. My husband has been aware of all of this. He's seen me go through the ups and downs of weaning off my medications and has supported me in some ways, but there's a glaring issue that has been a growing source of tension between us. He has a long-standing habit of using marijuana regularly. While I don't have a problem with marijuana use in general, especially not as an occasional activity, I've expressed to him that I'd like him to cut down significantly, if not stop altogether, as we prepare to have children. When we discussed this earlier in the year, he said he would start cutting back once he saw that I was taking steps toward getting off my medications and preparing my body for pregnancy. That seemed fair to me at the time, and I took him at his word. But now, months later, I've made significant progress in meeting my goals, and he hasn't done anything to reduce his usage. It's as if the conversation we had never happened. I've brought this up with him multiple times, and every time he says he will make an effort to stop or at least reduce how often he uses marijuana. But nothing changes. He continues with his habit as though my concerns are unimportant, and it's making me feel incredibly frustrated and disrespected. I'm not asking for the impossible. I'm asking for a commitment to a lifestyle change that would be better for both of us, especially as we prepare to bring a child into the world. To add to my frustration, I've started to notice other patterns in our relationship that are making me question whether we're truly on the same page. It's not just about the marijuana use, it's about the lack of follow-through, the disregard for my feelings and concerns, and the growing sense that we're moving in different directions. This realization has been deeply painful because I love him and want our marriage to work, but I can't ignore the signs that something isn't right. The thought of separating from my husband is heartbreaking, especially given how long we've been together and the plans we've made for the future. But I also can't help but wonder if staying in this marriage is the right choice for me, or for any child we might have in the future. If he can't make meaningful changes now, how can I trust that he'll step up when we're raising a child together? And if he continues to dismiss my concerns, how long can I keep putting my needs and feelings on the back burner? This is where I find myself now, on the brink of seeking legal advice about what my separation options might look like. It's not a step I'm taking lightly, and I'm still hoping for a way to resolve things without going down that road. But I need to know what my options are and what my life could look like if I choose to walk away. I'm trying to approach this situation with as much clarity and courage as possible, but it's hard to know what the right decision is. So here I am, turning to you for advice. Am I in the right to feel this way? Should I give him more time to change, or is it time to accept that this might not be the partnership I hoped it would be? If you've been in a similar situation or have any insights to share, I would be so grateful for your perspective. About 3 years ago, and this is why I'm posting from an anonymous account, my partner and I decided to spice up our sex life and explore something that we had both been curious about for a long time. We decided to have a threesome, something that we had both always talked about and had a shared interest in trying. After some searching, we found a woman on a threesome app, and we ended up having a sexual encounter with her. At first, it was a one-time thing, but it quickly turned into something more. We ended up developing a somewhat of a relationship with her for a short period of time. The relationship was unique and it became more than just sexual. She had epilepsy and had a really traumatic, difficult life, and as we spent more time together, we began to support her emotionally and in other ways. We found ourselves helping her through tough moments, from taking care of her when she was having seizures to providing food, shelter, and sometimes even a place to stay when she had nowhere else to go. She would live with us for weeks at a time, rent-free, when she needed a place to stay, and we didn't think twice about helping her. We genuinely cared about her and wanted to do what we could to help, seeing her as a friend in need. However, over time, this situation has become increasingly complicated. Looking back, I can see how this situation wasn't as simple as it seemed in the beginning. It was not always easy and things didn't always go smoothly. The reality is that the relationship between the three of us, both romantic and platonic, became much more turbulent over time. She had a lot of emotional baggage and challenges from her difficult life experiences, and I understand that. However, as the years went on, we began to see a pattern emerge. While we tried to support her, she had a tendency to expect a lot from us, sometimes to the point of entitlement. This became especially clear when we made efforts to accommodate her needs, but it was never enough for her. She would often get upset and even act spoiled if things didn't go the way she expected, which became an issue that started to strain our friendship. There have been multiple instances over the last 3 years where things blew up between us, and things got particularly tense at times. One example of this was when she needed to get head surgery to replace the battery in the device in her brain that helps manage her seizures. She asked if she could recover at our house, and my partner and I had to say no. I was genuinely not comfortable with the idea of her recovering from a major surgery in our home. The reason for this was simple. My husband and I both work and we wouldn't be home most of the day. I was concerned that if something were to happen to her while we weren't there, we wouldn't be able to help. That would have been devastating for me, and I also have a lot of anxiety around medical situations, which made me feel even less comfortable with the idea. In addition, I didn't feel that we were qualified to properly care for her during such an intense recovery. It wasn't that we didn't want to help, rather, I felt that this was outside of what we could reasonably handle at the time. However, she completely flipped out when we told her we couldn't accommodate her request. She accused us of only ever helping her with small things like assisting with her resume for a job, and went on to say that we were terrible friends. This accusation was hurtful, as we had done a lot for her over the years, not just providing a place to stay but also helping her with various aspects of her life. Yet in her eyes it wasn't enough. She felt as though we owed her more, and it turned into a huge argument that left me feeling drained and frustrated. The more I reflect on these events, the more I realize how much emotional labor we've put into this relationship. We've given her a lot of time, effort, and care, but it seems that no matter how much we do, it never feels like it's enough to satisfy her. I understand that she's had a tough life and I don't want to diminish her struggles, but I'm starting to feel as though our boundaries and needs are being overlooked. The relationship, initially rooted in mutual respect and care, has shifted into something much more complicated, with more emotional demands than I am able or willing to continue handling. It's starting to feel as though we are giving and giving, but receiving little in return, except for more criticism when we aren't able to meet her high expectations. We're now at a point where I'm beginning to question if continuing to support her in this way is healthy for us. My husband and I have had numerous conversations about how to approach this dynamic, but things haven't improved. I feel stuck between wanting to be there for a friend in need and realizing that the strain it's putting on our own lives and relationship is becoming too much to ignore. The constant back and forth has left me feeling exhausted and emotionally drained, and I'm starting to wonder if it's time to set clearer boundaries and maybe even distance ourselves from her. I've always tried to be compassionate and understanding, but it's reached a point where I'm not sure we're in a position to continue offering the level of support we have been. The line between helping a friend and enabling unhealthy patterns has become very blurry, and I'm not sure how to proceed. She has the code to our front door because she has helped us in the past by watching our cats and dog when we were away or busy. We've always trusted her to take care of our pets when needed, and we've never had any issues with her access to our home before. However, there was an incident recently that completely crossed a line for me. One night, around 11:30 p.m. on a Monday, without any warning or prior communication, she let herself into our house. We weren't expecting her, and she didn't give us a heads up that she was coming over. My husband and I were fast asleep, and it wasn't until around 3 a.m. that we were woken up by a notification on our Ring camera. We saw a video of her entering our house through the front door. I was shocked and confused as to why she had just let herself in without saying anything to us beforehand. Apparently, she had nowhere else to go, but that's not something we knew about until after the fact. We were alarmed by the whole situation. She had fallen asleep on our basement couch, and it took me a while to process what had happened. My immediate thought was that this could have been a serious security breach. We have firearms in our home, and we could have easily mistaken her for an intruder, especially since we had no prior knowledge of her being there. The fact that she entered our home in the middle of the night without giving us a heads up left me feeling incredibly unsafe and violated. It's not just about trusting her, it's about respecting our boundaries and understanding the risks involved. There's always a possibility of something going wrong when someone enters a house without permission, especially at such a late hour. When we confronted her about it the next day, her reaction made me even more upset. She tried to downplay it, saying it wasn't a big deal and that she didn't think we would be bothered by it. That response felt dismissive, and we made it clear that we were very uncomfortable with what had happened. But instead of apologizing or taking responsibility, she got defensive. She turned the situation around, claiming that we weren't being good friends and that we didn't care about her because she had nowhere else to go. She said that we didn't understand how difficult her situation was, and that we should have been more sympathetic to the fact that she was in need of a place to stay. This response really angered me. It felt like she was trying to manipulate the situation and guilt us into feeling bad for her. While I understand that she may have been going through a tough time, that doesn't excuse her actions or the complete lack of respect for our space and boundaries. She had other options. She could have called us or even texted us to let us know what was going on, but instead she chose to just show up unannounced. It wasn't just the late-night intrusion that bothered me, but the fact that she tried to make us feel guilty for being upset about it. She knew exactly how to push our buttons, and it left me feeling emotionally drained and frustrated. I couldn't help but think about how many times we've gone out of our way to help her and support her, and yet she couldn't even respect a basic request for communication and boundaries. Instead of seeing our frustration as valid, she made it all about herself, and that only deepened the resentment I felt. It became clear to me that she doesn't take our feelings into account when it comes to her needs. She expects us to drop everything for her, without regard for the emotional or practical impact it has on our lives. I'm finding it harder and harder to deal with her entitled attitude and the way she's been treating us. Her disregard for our space, especially after everything we've done for her, has made me question the kind of friendship we have. It's been hard to know where to draw the line, but this incident made it painfully clear that we need to set firmer boundaries if we want to protect our peace and safety. These are just two of our more recent fights. There used to be a lot more when we were still having sex. She used to get mad and jealous about some of the rules I would put down about sex, the relationship which had been in place since the start of things, but she just randomly wanted to start not caring about it. For instance, I wanted all communication between us to be in the group chat only. Yet she would call and text him separately, and I had problems with that. I believe it's still going on, and my husband knows I don't like it but obviously doesn't care. This is where the biggest problem lies. My husband is always doing one of two things. He's either making excuses for her bad behavior constantly or taking her side over mine. It's every single time there is even a slight disagreement between us all. She leaves dirty dishes in the sink or on the stove for us to clean up. Well, she didn't feel good, so we should give her a break. Or I get mad and he just offers to do it himself, so it'll be taken care of and I won't be mad anymore. She behaves like an utter asshole who is 34 going on 5. I should check my attitude and stop being so angry all the time. There have been several issues this year where I have specifically told my husband that if he continues to take her side on arguments, and worst of all sometimes he does this in front of her, which just completely undermines me, I would really have to think about the effects that this friendship is having on our marriage. I also feel like he tells her lies behind my back. For example, we were going to pay her to watch our pets while we were on vacation, and all of a sudden, she knows the figure we're paying her without even a discussion between my husband and I because he texted with her about it without consulting me. He also tells her she can stay longer sometimes when she's here when he specifically knows I need a break or I have told him I want her out. Then when I ask him, he acts like he doesn't know or never said anything. I know when he is lying. We had a wedding to attend out of state this past weekend, and she was kind enough to stay with our animals for the time we were away. We pay her very well and give her groceries and let her stay at our house the whole time, which is a luxury to her as it's a big house. She's alone but can have friends over if she wants, has all of the access to our streaming apps, to basically whatever she wants in our house within reason. We've had quite a busy summer of events, so this is probably the third time she's helped us like this in 2 months, but she's always wanted to be changed. She likes to have time away from her roommate with severe ADHD and gets to have her time and space at our house with minimal responsibilities. She currently doesn't have a job due to her condition, so we pay her well to help her stay afloat in general. Between our families, my husband and I have both a beach house and a lake house. In return for helping us out so much this summer, and due to the fact that she doesn't have a lot and doesn't get to go on many vacations, we offered to take her in some weekend trips to our vacation homes. Initially she gave us some dates she was free to go but then had to get her head surgery and the dates were then uncertain before change. She didn't know when she would be scheduled or how long she'd have to be in recovery. She ended up having her surgery sooner than planned due to some cancellations, and by that time, some of the dates she had initially chosen were no longer available at the vacation houses, as they are both shared with our various family members who also have shared rights to the vacation houses. When we told her the first date of her choice wasn't available, she flipped out. Started screaming at us over the phone that we didn't take her seriously and she was done with us. That we only use her when we need our pets taken care of. She threatened to block us and not talk to us anymore. My husband's parents are graciously taking us on a cruise to the Caribbean in August in preparation for us having kids, kind of our last free vacation without kids for what we imagine will be a long time. She again agreed to watch the pets again while we're gone, and we agreed to pay her over $1,000 plus groceries, etc. for about 10 days. This morning, we told her we had found a free date in the calendar for the beach and even offered to miss my father-in-law's 65th birthday to go this particular weekend before change. A lot of the other dates have been taken up in the calendar for the remainder of the summer. I literally got in fights with my sister and my mom trying to get the date she wanted to go to work out, but it just couldn't, so we agreed to go on the date of my FIL's 65th since we'd be spending the 2 weeks on the cruise with him shortly after. She settled on it and I thought things were fine until this morning it came in conversation and she starts getting mad before change. Apparently she says my husband told her separately on the phone that since we didn't get the initial date she wanted that we take her 2 weekends in a row to make up for it. I actually believe her before change of my husband's other false promises to her over the years behind my back. But the beach out house isn't even available 2 weekends in a row, and I don't really want to go 2 weekends back to back and have to find pet care as my animals aren't allowed at the beach house. They are however allowed at the lake house, so we invited her to go there with us in the second weekend instead. But that wasn't good enough for her. She started to scream at us yet again that we didn't take her seriously and were using her. She wouldn't even listen with us trying to reason with her before change. She was so enraged. Then she says she's not going to watch our pets for us anymore during our cruise and good luck finding someone else. I've had enough at this point and asked her to please stop yelling in my house. It's a townhouse and I don't want our neighbors to hear and be alarmed. I told her I don't even want to bring someone to our family vacation houses who treats us this way. She is a master manipulator. At first my husband is very angry with her and is on my side, telling her she can't treat us like this after all we do and have done for us and she needs to leave. She starts blaming it all on me, saying that I threatened to cancel the weekend at the beach and it's my fault, etc., etc., which I did after she started screaming at me in my own house and disrespecting my husband and I. Before change she decided to have a temper tantrum about it. My husband ends up following her upstairs while she stormed off and started to pack up to leave. After 15 minutes of them fighting with each other and me repeatedly having to asking them to STFU and stop yelling in my house, he comes down and again starts saying things, notioning that he has again been manipulated by her and is taking her side. He said I needed to stop being so angry all the time and get over it. Then said that he lives this situation with me every day. Before change I'm always angry. He knows it is a major pet peeve of mine and trigger when he starts bringing out personal issues up in regards to other disagreements, especially involving her. So I lose it. Tell him again he is taking her side over mine and not taking any of my feelings into account. Not all the times this has happened with her again and again, and nothing ever changes with her. Nothing. She just says sorry and does it all over again the next time she gets mad about something or drinks too much. I really have had a hard time understanding why many husband takes this mental abuse from her time and time again. But I've finally had enough of it all. I have let myself feel bad for this woman enough times. I have given her passes on her shitty, entitled behavior long enough. I have let my friendship morals and standards completely go out the window more times than I care to count. My husband and I rarely fight except when it has to do with her nowadays. It's ruining our relationship. Before change I am disgusted with the way he treats her as if she can do no wrong. I am more disgusted with he puts her feelings before mine. This is after I have explicitly told him multiple times not to do it. Before change I am his wife. But yet he continues to. I've really had enough at this point and hit my limit today with his comments to me after the argument. I don't want to talk to him, see him, and if I had somewhere else to go, I'd prefer to not even share the same air with him. He is sabotaging our marriage and doesn't seem to even care. I want to punish him selfishly. I want him to know the seriousness of the consequences to his actions. So I'm thinking about going to a lawyer and talking about my options. I've tried to mention couples counseling to him, but just like with everything else in this post, he doesn't take it seriously. So this feels like it's unfortunately my only option left. Not to mention our sex life hasn't been great. Is this someone that I really want to spend the rest of my life and have kids with? Am I overrating? I love him very much, but I just feel like he won't take me seriously anymore and our marriage is doomed. She posted an update. Just wanted to first start off by saying thank you, sincerely, to all who took the time to read my long post and give me actual advice and support. To those who said I was exploitative, creepy, etc., sorry you feel that way. It was never my intent to be that person, nor is it my character overall. I'll start off by saying I think it's over. I don't know if it's really hit me yet, or if I'm still somewhat in denial, but I honestly think we're on our way to a divorce. I ended up spending an entire workday writing an email to my husband to lay out everything that was bothering me. Starting from the problems I laid out in the post to other things that were becoming trivial in our marriage. It was almost 10,000 words, but it was almost everything that had been bothering me for years. Some things even came up that I had blindly chosen to forget about but made me even more angry than I already was. I left some key elements out in my original post, like the fact that this woman has an alcohol problem and has gotten overly intoxicated with me and my husband too many times to count and has basically no control over herself when she gets to that point. This includes the times where she got so mad about us not wanting to continue to drink at the beach and having a full-blown meltdown on the car ride back to our place and kicking me in the back of the arm and leaving an entire shoe-printed bruise on the back of my arm. Or maybe the time when she got wasted and met some random sketchy guys in a bar that I didn't feel comfortable around or want to continue to hang with, one of which who noticed I had a wedding ring on and told me that married women shouldn't be out alone without their husband. She flipped out at me when I got an Uber and then afterwards almost got us kicked out of the same Uber on a major highway because neither the driver or I could get her to calm down and stop. Another time she didn't like the fact that I wanted to go home during what was supposed to be a girls' night out. She had another freak out in the middle of the road in a busy area where there are tons of nightclubs and police around. We almost both got drunk in public charges, but luckily, I persuaded the cops that we were getting into an Uber to go home, and it was just a misunderstanding. This woman is not the poor, meek person that some of you in the original post made her out to be. She is extremely manipulative and has also proven to be violent. It took me 2 days to actually send the email to my husband. I did some editing and such and read it back to myself about 10 times. Initially, when I came home after I sent the email, he was very quiet. He said he read the whole thing but wasn't fully ready to talk about it. Needed more time to digest it, which was fine and understandable due to its length and complexity. I spent about 2 days in my basement, distancing myself from him. The weird part is, I have barely cried through this entire predicament. I don't know if I'm numb, too angry, or just already done with the situation and it's my way of trying to move on before things get heavier. When it was initially discussed, he said he didn't believe everything in my email to be true and that it wasn't all of a sudden the gospel. I honestly just shut him down at that point and went on ignoring him. I just didn't want to hear any more bullshit. For a couple days, I actually tried to be good with him again for some reason. I guess I just wanted to see if we could be civil enough to make it through this. She started to send both of us Instagram reels, like she used to, as if nothing had happened. This is usual tactic for her: go crazy, be extremely volatile, and then after a couple days just act like it's all fine and nothing happened. Maybe that's my fault too for letting her get away with so much over the last couple years. I messaged my husband that it was bold of this woman to still be sending us stuff after what she had done without even so much as an apology to either of us since. His response was, she doesn't even know you hate her yet, so how would she know not to send us stuff? I responded by saying that I didn't hate her but personally didn't think she was a good friend after all she'd put me and him through, and he said he did think she was my friend, but he understood why I was frustrated. I literally just said, I don't know how you can call someone who calls your wife crazy a friend. We have totally different ideas of friendship then. He just kept reiterating that he had chosen me. For some reason, he is just infatuated with the idea that we have to tell this girl that we're not going to be friends with her anymore and to sever communication through a group text. I don't want to do that. I don't want to talk to the girl again, quite honestly, and if he doesn't get the point after what she did, that's not my problem. He keeps telling me that this is not the right approach and that we need to verbally tell her that the friendship is over. At this same point in time, his cousin, who we're very close with and lives in Israel, was coming for a visit to his family's house. We hadn't had the opportunity to see her in 3 years, and with everything going on over in the Middle East and Israel in particular, didn't know when we'd be able to see her again. Before all of this went down, we'd already planned the trip to travel up to another state to see her. So, in the moment of contention, I said I was going to have to rethink the trip. He totally flipped out, saying that this was going to ruin everything, that he'd have to tell his family why I didn't come with him and that would ruin a lot for us. I said to please tell them that I was sick or have COVID, but he said that made no sense since it was only, at this point, 8 hours before we were leaving. I, again like a huge idiot, was manipulated into feeling bad about my decision to not go and not see his dear cousin who had been living through hell in Israel. So after not sleeping for a night, thinking about having to explain to my in-laws what was going on, knowing that the whole family would catch wind of our issues and it would be a lot of drama if I didn't go, I threw my shit in a bag and left on 3-hour car ride to his parents' house. Yes, Redditors, I know this was a huge mistake on my part and I regret it majorly. I don't know why I went. I guess more manipulation and guilt drove me there. I felt so stuck. And I guess I really am weak. The weekend went okay. We had a lot of stuff going on throughout the days to keep us occupied, so that helped. We just kind of faked our way through the whole thing and we both just were in total denial about what was going on behind the surface. We barely spoke about any of it during the weekend. We make our way back home Sunday morning. I don't know who I thought I was kidding, but things just took off right where they left off. We'd had tickets to go see one of his favorite artists in concert that night that we'd forgotten about. We decided to go as things were fine over the weekend and we were seemingly fine in the moment. We ended up getting into another argument beforehand because at first, I didn't want to go to the concert. Robert Plant has been in town a few weeks prior and I really wanted to go, but he didn't, and so I didn't go because no one else wanted to go with me either. The concert meant a lot to me, but it was just one more thing for him to blow off because he didn't feel like going or spending the money or whatever. So, I told him that the situation with the concert tonight that he wanted to go to was the same situation, something that meant a lot to him that he really wanted to see. Of course, I was willing to go with him even if I didn't know a lot of songs or have a lot of interest, but I was still willing to go, yet he couldn't do the same thing for me when something was important to me. This kicked off a whole other argument that just blew up. Things that were said within the argument over 30 minutes. The elephant in the room was my weight problem. Yes, I have gained some weight in the last couple years, but I would not consider a problem. I am not walking around morbidly obese, eating fast food every meal and not giving a shit. I have cut out 95% of my drinking, have been on medications and birth control that have made me gain weight, and I have been working to diet and exercise. He tried to say he only brought this up because I wrote about my weight gain in my email to him and that I didn't think he thought I was attractive anymore because of it. Told me that he was going to return our Peloton bike because we made a promise to use it in the new year, and because I haven't been on it as regularly as he has, I'm basically telling him to go F*** himself on the promise we made. I'm a lying B** because of the things I accused him of in the email. Tried to use our pets against us by saying I'd have to figure out how we were going to split them up if we separated. My animals are a huge trigger for me, they are my life and he knows this. Blamed me for him staying in our state when we met and staying at his previous job when he was absolutely miserable. Saying he stayed for me when he could have gone anywhere else. Said he has always tried to look for me physically, and basically alluding to the fact that I have not. Which is BS because he was heavier at one point and I never said or did anything. I also stayed with this man through addiction. A whole other part of this story, but he definitely was not physically attractive to me during this stage, but I still stuck around. I leave to go back to my dungeon in our basement and take a nap. This is probably the first time I cried. I cried myself to sleep. I just felt worthless. I take a nap before I go, and when I wake up, I have a long apology text from this woman. Sent only to me. It was basically the same thing she had said the day she left our house after the blow-up. She was sorry for how she reacted, but never good to throw a but in an apology, didn't think we took her seriously, and that she basically thought it wasn't fair that she didn't get to go to the beach, etc., just a bunch of buts and her defending the way she acted. I didn't answer. I really didn't know how to or even have anything to say. We leave to go to the concert. Later that evening, while we're standing in line for drinks at the concert venue, I see my husband texting on his phone, so I just blurted out, "Be honest with me, are you texting her right now, and did you tell her to text me earlier?" He didn't really seem surprised at all and just said no, he didn't tell her to text me. I asked him to swear, and that's when he broke down and said okay, full transparency, and showed me his phone. This was Sunday. Come to find out, she had texted him the previous Friday while we were visiting his family, and he never told me. Apparently he hadn't talked to her since the blow-up, unless he deleted texts, which I wouldn't be surprised at, but if they really hadn't talked, then this girl truly is a selfish, toxic mess. She texted him saying, "So, I guess we're not going to the beach?" To me, this just goes to show everything I thought about this girl's character is true. Just in those few words, she made it clear that A, she didn't care about our feelings at all, B, she only cared about herself and if she was getting her free trip to the beach. I would be beyond mortified if I screamed at someone in their house over something like this, that I wouldn't even have the balls to message someone, period, let alone message them about the vacation that they'd offer to take me on. She is absolutely shameless and selfish. Regardless of all that, he actually answered her, which made me lose my sh asterisk. I specifically told him in the email that I wrote that he was to not text her separately again. If she messaged him, he was supposed to either ignore it completely or bring it up in the group text if it really was important. But again, he just couldn't help himself. And what he said was even worse. He wrote back that same day and said, "Stop assuming things. She needs a few days to calm down. She hasn't told that she has canceled yet, has she?" As soon as I read that, I literally saw red. Here this guy is not only lying to her about the plans, which I made clear in my email that I would not be taking her to the beach at all. He was giving her hope to cling on to that she would still make it to the beach with us. Probably due to all the times where I've given in to their BS and let things go. I was furious. And by the way, how the literal hell is that full transparency? Full transparency would have been receiving the text from her and telling me about it right away and not responding. Not telling me on the Sunday after when I ask you if you've spoken to her. I said to cut contact. This is not cutting contact. This is lying. This is manipulating. Anyway, he went on telling me that he should have come to the concert alone and that I had ruined his night. Funny because you're ruining my life. The concert couldn't have ended faster. I just drank and pretended that the impending doom wasn't on the horizon and tried to enjoy what little of my life I could even try to at this point. I ended up getting a little tipsy and when we got back home we had sex. What? No fucking clue. I'm human, I'm buzzed, I'm sad and I'm horny. I wanted to give him one more preview of what he'd be losing. I wanted to feel used and abused. I just wanted to be totally and completely reckless, but looking back, I really just wanted to feel like us again. I was obviously hoping for some kind of miraculous shift to happen. I wanted to feel like we did when we first started dating. I wanted to feel wanted. Love. Something. Anything from him. I slept in bed with him for the first night since everything that night. I'm just totally in la la land at this point. The next day was a work day, so I really didn't have much conversation with him. After work, he tells me that he got us movie tickets to a film that he knows I've been dying to see. He also knows I love going to the movies and it's one of my favorite activities. I figured we wouldn't have to talk much and I did really want to see this movie, so what the fuck. We go, we have a good time. It reminded me of the old days when we used to go see $5 matinees together. The good days. But it's all fake apparently. Nothing matters to him. What I am doing is complete and total self-sabotage and I knew it wouldn't last, but still, here I was, grasping onto whatever I could. And then bang, more bullshit. We come upstairs after we get home and out of nowhere, he starts talking about what he might like for his birthday present, which has become a running joke because his birthday was at the end of May, and I still haven't gotten him anything, not because I didn't want to but because he would not give me any ideas or thoughts about what he wanted. I offered everything from a weekend in Vegas, an iWatch, a trip to Disney, a guitar, whatever the hell he wanted, but he just couldn't decide and never confirmed anything, so I told him when he did decide to let me know. And what did he tell me wanted, you ask? He has a bad back and slip disc for years, and it just magically turned out that our third sister was a certified massage therapist. He started getting massages from her in our house on a bi-weekly basis for pretty cheap back in the day, but stopped getting them once he decided having a house cleaner was a better way to spend the money. This dude really goes, maybe you can pay for me to get a few massages from third sister. I was unpacking my bag from the weekend when he said this and getting out my razor to go in the shower, and after he asked for that, I literally threw my razor at him. He dodged it and I missed, but my dog was in the room and it scared her. I went over immediately to her to comfort her because I knew I had fucked up. Immediately, he uses the situation against me, telling me I scared her and that I should be comforting her because I'm probably going to her up with my dysfunction. As mentioned, this is a huge trigger for me. My dog and cats are my life. I care about them more than I do most humans in my life, and he knows for a fact that it will piss me off enormously when he brings them into any argument. I literally lost my mind and started telling him to leave me the F alone. He tried making excuses and saying that one had nothing to do with the other. What a load of BS. Why the hell would I buy you massages from the sister of someone who I have now accused of basically ruining our marriage and who I want you to have no contact with? In what fuck world is this normal behavior? Someone please feel free to tell me what kind of crazy this is, because he just kept trying to convince me that it wasn't. After a little while of yelling back and forth, he finally comes out and just asks, "So, you really never want to be friends with this girl again?" I said no and asked what about it, and my email did not make this totally clear. He loses it saying that he can't believe after one fight that I'd hit the nuclear button on our friendship on her. Then he goes one step further and says, "Wow, Kid Anonymous 61, I never thought you were the kind of person that would tell me I couldn't be friends with someone." That was it for me. All sensibility just went out the window at that point. I screamed at him that we were done. Don't bother talking to me. Don't look at me. Don't think about me. We're done. Done. Screaming that we are done. I have never once in the last 11 years told this man that he couldn't do anything, see anyone. The dude has basically had free reign to do whatever he wants. And not only that, but I let him sleep with someone else. How the hell is going to in any way try to make me out to be controlling in this relationship? All he kept doing from this point was threatening that he was going to send a text to the group text that unfortunately, we couldn't be friends anymore and that we were going to cut off all contact with her and it'd be coming from us, not just him, and this was the end, etc., etc., etc. The BS just keeps on coming. He said the text that he sent her Friday wasn't disrespectful at all, therefore, it was fine that he sent it and didn't tell me. He said I was delusional and made up a bunch of stuff in my head and always had and should have noticed this trait earlier on in the marriage and left then. Then he went into a total ego-driven speech about how he's successful and has respect from a lot of people and was a mature, grown adult and that he could text whoever he wanted. So I just said okay, you're exactly right. You want to text the woman who is single-handedly ruining my marriage, causing me emotional distress, manipulated and using us. Then you go right ahead, but it will be the end of us and I will start the process of separating. He had scheduled a marriage counseling session, which I told him to go ahead and just cancel. My therapist told me that couples counseling wasn't a great option if one party in the marriage already had decided they were done. And I'm about 98.999% done and I don't feel like hashing this out with a third party honestly. It doesn't seem worth my time anymore. Maybe a year or 6 months ago but not now. So, I guess I'll be starting my life over. Thank you again for everyone who read and had kind words of advice for me. It was truly appreciated in my time of need. Thank you for listening the story to the end. If you enjoy our videos, so don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Have a good day, and if you haven't subscribed yet, please do it and hit the notification bell icon to stay updated with more shocking real-life stories happening around you.